Welcome, everyone, to Richmond Raceway. 3/4 mile racetrack here in the heartland of the Capital Region. It's time to go short track racing here in the Crown Athletics IndyCar Series. Welcome, everyone, to Kart on ABN for a wonderful Thursday for racing. 2 weeks ago, Rick Raven grabbed an impressive 7th win of the season. Can Raven grab an 8th tonight? We'll find out as things get underway here in Richmond. Points going into this race. This is how the top 12 stacks up. It's Raven at the top of the board, 338 points for the number 7 team. The defending champion, Bobby Blowers, with 246. Having a resurgence mid-season here. Need a lot more to close in an almost 100-point gap. It's 92 points entering this race. A lot of work to do. Lance Anthony, Nate Fields, also with work to do. They've moved up to the top 4. Louis Frazier, David Cook Jr. in the top 6, ahead of Nick Presti, the defending ABN World Champion, who's had a rough start this season. Sitting in 7th, Mirabella Viscali, DJ Trout, Travis Rucker, Brandon Statton, and Blue Jade. Your top 12 here entering Richmond. It's almost time for us to go racing here. Qualifying is in the books. Starting grid looks a little something like this. David Cook Jr. front and center for this race. Rick Raven sitting alongside on the front row here around this short oval. Row 2 looks a little something like this. Andrew Fay and Lance Anthony sitting in row 2 there. Row 3 is where you'll find William Rucker and Brandon Statton. Row 4 is Scott McCann making his debut ahead of Bobby Blowers here tonight in row 4. Row 5 is the defending ABN World Champion, Nick Presti, alongside Chip Ganassi Racing's Kiffin Simpson, who finished on the podium 2 weeks ago in Pocono. Didn't mean to hide the full starting grid from you. There's row 5 there. There's 18 cars in this field tonight. Row 6 is where you'll find Brian Lynch in Kalik Weitzel on the row there, just outside the top 10. So they will start. Blue Jade and Martin Roberg, a pair of rookies in row 7. Roberg having a medical issue, not 100%. Said that during practice the issue didn't affect him too awful badly. We'll see how things pan out here. This is not an easy racetrack for anything less than 100%. Travis Rucker and Lee Frazier make up your top 8 rows in this field. That's 15th and 16th on the grid. Your final row, Billy Smith and R.C. Grove on the racetrack here tonight. And with that, it is almost time for us to go racing here in Richmond. 2 formation laps, as is custom here at the short ovals. A little bit extra time to get up to speed. A huge shout out to all of the sponsors for the Crown Athletics IndyCar Series for the support all season long. From Crown Athletics all the way down, LA Designs, B. Smith Maintenance, Magnolia Laser, and others for being on board. Also a huge shout out to our Premier Tier patrons over on patreon.com/ABN Studio. Trade Ups Logan, Dogman 2935, Eli Sassick, Jason Scott, Alfred Denny, Weekend Hobby 22, Philip Snipes, Tyler Head, B-Dogs, Colin McDonough, Blue, KJ Gibney, J-Paw, Jake Potak, and June, the newest member of the Premier Tier on Patreon. If you want your name shouted out, the Premier Tier is the place to do it, the way to do it. And the QR code can help you out as we get ready to see the lights go green here in Richmond. Scan that QR code and get started and support ABN today. The green flag flies. Richmond 225 is underway. Lance Anthony out to an early lead, but it's contest early at the front of the field between Anthony and Cook. Well, we are underway in racing here in Richmond. Cook going to the bottom of the racetrack. Lance Anthony defending up top. Anthony found the lead early, got around both your front row starters. Ray Vaughn is down into fourth. It's Anthony at the front, ahead of Cook, ahead of Fay. Ray Vaughn and William Rucker up into your top five. Kevin Simpson has never raced here at Richmond in real life. He joined the IndyCar series after the COVID year when Richmond was supposed to be on the calendar. And the junior formula did not come here when he was going through the ranks on his way to becoming a driver for Chip Ganassi Racing. That being said, his iRacing experience will carry him pretty far here, and so far it has. Started this race down in the 10th position, has already gained 3 spots, up to 7th, now working on Brandon Statton for that 6th spot. And he's going to sweep through, almost contact there, got a little tight. Outside of those corners, come at you quick. He's going to give it another go, and it looks like that might have been contact with Andrew Fay, who's lost part of his front wing. And he's getting past left, right, and center is Andrew Fay. That's the 95, Scott McCann, the debutant, getting around, as is Kelix Witzel. "17 cars took the start. Not the case for R.C. Grove, who did not take the start tonight. But Andrew Fay falling backwards quickly with that missing left front wing plate. At the front of the field, it is Lance Anthony. New look, new apparel for Crown Athletics on that car, the golf caps that were just released during the 4th of July off time for the series, emblazoned on that car. But he's being kept honest by the pole sitter, David Cook Jr. And it is a 2-horse race. Rick Ravon back up into 3rd, having gotten around Fay before Fay's descent with damage. William Rucker now up to 4th. Statton and Simpson. 5th and 6th is how they run. And then you find Nick Pressey and Bobby Blowers, the defending ABN World Champion and defending kart champion, have flopped positions there. Pressey up to 7th, Blowers in 8th, which is where he started. Pressey, as we mentioned, started in 9th. Row 5 has gained 2 spots to get there. Scott McCann started this race in 7th. He's dropped 2. So him and Pressey have practically switched sides of the number 1. Here we are. David Jr.'s gotten ahead of Lance Anthony at the front of the field. Everything underway. Here's a look at how that pass happened. Pretty straightforward there. Got the run out of turn 4. Made him pay for it. And Lance Anthony could not get the response back. So David Cook Jr. now leads the way. And Anthony and Rayvon, who now sits in 3rd. William Rucker in 4th. Brandon Statton and Kevin Simpson still running out your top 6 here. Passing will become a little bit more difficult for a moment. Those tires have definitely lost those luster. As it looks like Simpson under pressure from Pressey. Pressey a little bit overambitious, 53 and 4, and now under attack from Bobby Blowers for that position. And Blowers will not be able to hold on to it. And so the seesaw of momentum is ricocheting pretty hard in this mid-top 10 conversation, 6th, 7th, and 8th. And 9th with McCann on your screen. Rayvon has found his way around Lance Anthony for the moment, but lap traffic, Billy Smith in the way. Rayvon will clear himself for 2nd place there. It was close quarters for a moment. David Cook Jr. has found his way into lap traffic as well. That is, I believe, Blue Jade going a lap down. And going a lap down to all 3 of the front runners here. William Rucker in 4th, a little more distant, over 2 seconds from the race lead at this point in time. Andrew Fay has come down the pit lane for that front wing that it was still damaged, and they'll go ahead and replace that. Some additional time on pit lane for Andrew Fay to get that front wing replaced. He will be out in a way. First pit stop in the books here in Richmond. This battle has now grown to include that of Calix Wetzel, the 0-2. So 5 cars, the bottom half of your top 10 are right here. As Pressey and Simpson have a battle part 2. Similar to their battle in Pocono. Simpson was the better of that exchange. A little bit of contact, a little bit of elbow grease going into that fight. Contact there with Simpson. And it looks like, unlike with Andrew Fay, where there were clear issues, Simpson's front wing might still be there. A lot of understeer, though, in turns 1 and 2. Was that overdriving, or is Simpson now feeling the effects of that contact? I think there's actually damage on the front wing. Latency, netcode says he's good. Either it's a placebo effect and he's just driving in hard, or there's a legitimate problem. They do have the lap traffic that the leaders just went through now in front of them, so there's more dirty air. Something, though, could be amiss on the 8, as Billy Smith tries to stay out of the way. And it is a maze for the lead lap cars to get through some of these lapped machines early on. I think Simpson's definitely got some front wing damage. I think he's been bailed out at the moment with the lap traffic, but he's not gaining on the 94 of Pressey. And he's not able to run that inside lane anymore. So I would not be surprised if Simpson has a little bit of trouble right now. Flowers and Witzel, and then McCann all in that conversation. These are 17-second laps, and this group is now almost 10 seconds behind, over a half lap behind the race leader. As we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, things move fast here in Richmond. For good reason. Billy Smith down pit lane. The 18 will pull it in. Second car to make a pit stop here in Richmond early on. in this event. Ravon is caught up. Half a second now, the gap between the top two in this race. 38 laps in, they have left Lance Anthony in the dust at the moment. 2.7 seconds. The separation there to third place. No lap traffic at the moment for those in the top three. William Rucker in fourth. Still has to deal with a little bit of lap traffic, that being, I believe, Andrew Fay. It is. Brandon Statton, top five. Nick Pressey, now sixth. Trying to close in on Brandon Statton now. And Pressey's also moved outside lane, along with Simpson, who is still ahead of Blowers, Witzel, and McCann in that battle in the top 10. Again, we think that the 8 has nursing a damaged front wing. Hard to tell from the images here. But the way he's driving, especially through turns 1 and 2, indicate to me that there is an ailing part of that car that is taking away some grip. Either it's a front wing damage or potentially it could be suspension damage. But we shall see. Flowers sitting in that 8th position, trying to find his way around. Here he is on board with the defending kart champion, the Minnesota native, trying to pick and find his way through all of the noise. A bit of contact there with the wall, and they're going to go 3 wide. Flowers gets his way through. Simpson will lose out to both Blowers and Witzel. There goes Scott McCann, the debutant, up to 9th. Kevin Simpson now down in the 10th spot, nursing that front wing the best he can. Pressey getting around Brandon Statton. That is for the 5th spot. Pressey on the move from 9th to 5th is how the defending ABN World Champion currently sits. Simpson has come down pit lane, made it to lap 46, decided he has lost enough spots and would come down pit lane early. Scott McCann, the debutant in that PPG machine at number 95. Started this race in 7th, down in 9th at the moment. Got swamped early. That's only making his climb back forward. The gap at the front has closed significantly. David Cook Jr. and Rick Ravon, they've gotten around Louis Frazier. Putting in a lot of effort there. Billy Smith up next, already lapped in this race, has already come down the pit lane in this race. And Ravon getting held up. Billy Smith is spun. And that is a yellow flag. First one of the race comes on lap 50. And Billy Smith in trouble early. And that's what you're afraid of if you're someone like Kevin Simpson, who just came down pit lane to prepare that front wing, is you have lost 2 laps before the leaders have had a chance to come down pit lane. The wave around doesn't help you get back on the lead lap in this situation. Louis Frazier gets the free pass, and we'll get back on the lead lap here. So here's what happened to Billy Smith. Just gasses up a little bit. You can see him begin to over-rotate out of turn 2 there. But it really gasses itself up there on the unload there as soon as it gets to the straightaway. And there's not a lot of wiggle room on the front straightaway here at Richmond. It's one wall or the other. You can take your pick. And unfortunately, the number 18 machine chose the inside wall, as it happens more often in these open wheel machines. The inside wall is not friendly either. Frazier comes down pit lane, having gotten back on the lead lap, having lost the lap earlier on. We saw that battle with Cook and Ravon. And now, back underway here. Andrew Fay and Kiffin Simpson will try to get a wave around to get one of those laps back. It'll put Simpson 1 lap down and Fay 2 laps down. More importantly, it'll put Kiffin Simpson on the same game plan as that of Brian Lynch in the 9. This is further down the running order right here. So they'll turn the tail end of the field. It'll be David Cook Jr., Rick Ravon, Lance Anthony, William Rucker, and Nick Cressy, your top 5 for our first restart of the night. Green flag is out once again, and away we go. Ravon now reset with David Cook Jr. back to the spots they started this race in. First and second. Lance Anthony in third. And to work his way forward now. On that third position. Rucker in fourth. Cressy fifth. Staton sixth. Battle further back. It was between Cressy and Witzel. The defending champion outside lane. And gets clear of the 0-2 machine, and now looks to try to find his way around Staton. Scott McCann also now closer to the conversation once again. Let's try to get closer to the top 5 on debut. Car spun further back. Lance Anthony out of the way. Should not be a caution. But a spin for Lance Anthony drops him from the podium down to 11th place. Last car on the lead lap and more in danger of going a lap down at this point, because there's the race leaders out of turn 2. Frazier's come down pit lane. And this looks to be repair for the 13. Not the race she was hoping to have. Cook and Ravon now no pressure. Rucker in a distant third, 2 seconds adrift. Cressy up to fourth, looking at a potential podium. One that he was denied, and he is in trouble. He's in the fence. Hard in the fence for the 94. In the same spot, 2 laps apart from Lance Anthony. Trouble for the 94, Nick Cressy. He drops from fourth. P drops down. He's got to come down pit lane for emergency service. And turn 4 is now picking everyone off like flies. Flowers, your defending car champion, up to 4th. Staton to 5th. McCann up to 6th on debut. Witzel, Roberg, Anthony, and Cressy, your top 10. Cressy just came down pit lane, so he will drop at least 2 laps on the field here. Simpson, first car a lap down, was hoping for a yellow there. He is right there with Andrew Fay, separate laps. Simpson 1 lap down, Fay 2 laps down. It would have benefited the 8 car significantly had Anthony or Pressey brought out the yellow. Neither did, so we keep going. This track is challenging. It is fast. It is very deceptive. And we're seeing that. Turn 4 has become the purple spot on this run. Two halves of this racetrack from turn 2 to turn 4. It feels like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. For now, this battle for the 5th spot, Staton and McCann. Both of them behind Bobby Blowers. Nick Pressey out of the race, back on the racetrack here, 2 laps down as we expected he would be. And back ahead of Staton where he was when that contact with the fence first took place. McCann applying pressure. The 2 rookies duking it out for that 5th spot. They're your highest placed rookies in this race right now. Roberg in 8th would also like to be part of the conversation. Simpson up to 10th, a lap down, as he works to get around Andrew Fay. Battle here for 3rd place between Blowers and William Rucker. That is Blowers getting up to 3rd. He is back on the podium. 3rd's where he finished on Tuesday in the HTL Challenger Series at Talladega. Looking for a couple spots higher here tonight. He's got 4 seconds to cave in to get to David Cook Jr. and Rick Ravon, who sit alone at the front of the field. It has been bedlam further down the order. Further back, Travis Rucker getting around Brian Lynch. Both those drivers a lap down, 11th and 12th on the racetrack at the moment. Staton under a lot of pressure from McCann again into turns 1 and 2 here. Staton goes high, McCann runs low. And Staton uses the outside lane for leverage and stays 5th. But McCann looking pretty racy at the moment. Right on board with the debutante, McCann in the 6th position. Trying to find his way around Brandon Staton. They have the ability to use hybrid, which gives you a little boost of power. Realistically, you're using it both straightaways to try to make an impact, but everyone's doing the same thing. Whether it's to defend or to attack. I would not be surprised if some are just not using it. Just trying to focus on making things happen. Rick Ravon has lost some significant time. Was right there with David Cook Jr. Now 2 seconds adrift of the race leader. Avon with some work to do to try to close back in. Rucker has caught up to Kiffin Simpson. Looking at that 10th spot. Seeing what he can do to get back into the top 10 and be the first car lap down if a caution does come out, having a solid chance. Close conversation here. Car in the fence, I believe that was Blue Jade, having troubles once again. In front of Staton, McCann, and Witzel, who now have to navigate the E03. And here comes McCann. 3 wide into turn 1. Didn't really work out for anybody the way they had hoped. But McCann knows very well he needs to beat Staton high side. Easier said than done. He also knew that lap traffic was his easiest way to get forward there. A little bit of urgency in that. Try to make that pass happen. Now he's got to wait for the next lap car. Unless Staton makes a mistake, which is very possible. Can't rule it out. Brian Lynch, a second lap down here. That is where the race leader is at. Rick Ravon has turned on the jets. He's back within a second of David Cook Jr. Battle for the top 5 continues to rage on as we approach the halfway point here in Richmond. Witzel now attacking the debutant McCann. Battle for 10th rate is on as well between Simpson and Rucker. And again, Simpson using the outside lane to defend. Only one official retirement in this race, being that of Andrew Fay. Billy Smith on pit lane, but still rolling. Willie Frazier also still rolling at the moment. Whoa, trouble, contact between Rucker and Simpson, and that could end Simpson's day. And Simpson missing pit lane. This could draw a caution. It does. It does draw a caution. And that'll neutralize the field at halfway. Who comes down pit lane? Travis Rucker does get the free pass as a result of that. Let's take a look at what happened. In this battle for what was top 10, which is now in the hands of Travis Rucker. Close battle in the confines. Simpson doing his best to defend on the outside lane. It's going to be the next lap out of turn 2. What does it look like here? Yeah, it looks like Simpson tried to clear himself there. Also looks like Travis Rucker was trying to run a little bit higher at the racetrack as well. So everyone trying to find real estate there. And Rucker, very fortunate to not end up spearing the outside wall. I think he still makes contact with it, but not nearly the same level as Simpson. And because the caution doesn't immediately come out here, it doesn't count against Travis Rucker when Simpson eventually comes down to a stop right here. And that's where the caution comes out. And that'll end Simpson's day as it sits. So we have passed halfway here in Richmond for the Crown Athletics IndyCar Series for kart. Here in Richmond Raceway, your current top 5 look like this: David Cook Jr., Rick Ravon, Bobby Blowers, William Rucker, and Brandon Statton. After 103 laps of this 200-lap event. 2 retirements officially. Kevin Simpson joining Andrew Fay on the retirement list. Travis Rucker gives us 10 cars on the lead lap. Rucker getting the free pass. Ahead of Nick Pressey, who now sits 1 lap down. The first car in line to try to get a lap back here. To the restart zone, away we go. David Cook Jr., your race leader, 91 laps led. But here comes Rick Ravon, sweeping to the outside lane. Thought that looked like contact there with Ravon on the outside wall, but we stay going. Everyone under pressure here. Here comes Statton under attack from Lance Anthony. Witzel's in that fight as well. Roberg a little bit further back. We talked about him being less than 100%. He's under pressure from McCann and Rucker as they all try to move forward here. Side by side, they go into turns 1 and 2. Rucker again struggling there. Saw a little twitch. He was trying to avoid making contact with Roberg. Having a repeat of what happened there just a few laps ago with Simpson. Staton stays ahead for that 5th spot at the moment. Ravon is closed in on David Cook Jr. Closing in is one thing, passing another. But he is there right now. Smack of the wall that time. That one was for sure. How much is it going to bite him? And caution is out for the 3rd time. I believe it's Brandon Staton and Travis Rucker involved potentially. And there's Brandon Staton now on pit lane. I think it starts here. Rucker and Staton battling for position. Oh! Oh, huge crash. And that's likely both days over. Looks like that was behind. I'm not sure who that was. That was Lance Anthony. And that was a lock of the brakes to avoid making contact with Anthony, who was missing half a front wing. And a huge impact there for Brandon Staton, who goes up and over into the fence. And that likely ends the days of both drivers there. Third caution of the race. And the field size beginning to trim down a little bit. Pace car is in for the 3rd restart. Cook, Rucker, Witzel, Ravon, Blowers, your top 5. Green flag, and away we go. Down pit lane again, Travis Rucker, who is trying to keep himself rolling here, but I don't think this is a pleasant trip down pit lane. I think this might be a trip down pit lane to retire from the race. David Cook Jr. out in front, William Rucker in second, Calix Witzel in third, Rick Ravon, Bobby Blowers, your top five, ahead of Lance Anthony, who now sits in the sixth position, ahead of the debutant, Scott McCann. Martin Roberg, Nick Cressy back on lead lap here, ahead of Brian Lynch, who now sits in the 10th position. 2 laps down. He's got to grab 2 free passes here without being in an accident. I don't know how many more cautions this field's got in it. 73 laps to go. Rucker and Ravon right there behind Witzel. It's the highest the O2 has driven tonight, and the pressure has amplified for the O2 Witzel. William Rucker trying to find his way around, as is the 7-time race winner, Rick Ravon. And Ravon now there, right on the gearbox of the 77. Blowers not far away. Witzel well out of position, but pushing things forward. Ravon around Rucker, who is now being fed to the wolves further back. Witzel continues to lead this conversation for second, and it's helping David Cook Jr. scamper away. Ravon outside lane, trying to sweep around and grab that second place right back. He does. Cook has led over half the race so far. And now Ravon back up to second place, ahead of Witzel, with Rucker, Flowers, Anthony McCann all in this conversation. On board with Anthony as he battles the defending champion, Bobby Blowers, for fifth. Trying to get around that one car the best he can. Whoa! Contact! And Blowers goes fit side, and there's no way he didn't get away with that without touching the outside wall. Let's take a replay of that as he tries to defend himself from Martin Roberg, his teammate. And here we go. Run into turn 3 that led to the contact. How did that not result in a hit to the wall? What a save. What a save. My goodness. Wow. Anthony getting around William Rucker. That's Anthony up to 4th. Rucker in 5th. McCann 6th. Next up for Anthony is Calix Witzel, who started this race down in the 12th position, outside row 6, for the start of this race. David Cook Jr. leads the way by 1.6 seconds. That gap coming down a little bit. Ravon trying to close in once again for what could be a battle at the end here in Richmond. .4 in counting as the battle for the top 5 continues now between Rucker and McCann. Trying to hold on there to Lance Anthony. Going to be more difficult to do so. Rucker pailing lap 101. Same with Witzel to move forward into that front-running conversation. Ravon, Anthony, McCann, Blowers, Cressy, and Roberg came down on lap 119, the most recent caution. Which is also why you're seeing this little conversation close in. 1.3 and counting. Almost a 20-lap difference between Cook and Ravon in favor of the 7 on tire wear. Caution is out. Once again, it's Roberg. Front straightaway. And we talked about a difficult race. This is part of it. Part and parcel of the process here. So let's take a look here what happened to Martin Roberg. This is through turns 3 and 4. Just loses it on his own. Comes to a stop there on the front straightaway against the fence. Try to keep it out of the way. I think he did a pretty good job, all things considered there. A little bit difficult to make things happen. Lance Anthony will move to the front of the field ahead of Scott McCann. Free pass recipient Brian Lynch will go to 1 lap down. He just might get back on the lead lap here. On our 4th caution of the night. Less than 50 laps to go. We know how good he can be on these short ovals. He won one of the races in Iowa. Sorry, not one. He finished 3rd both races in Iowa, the 52 Lance Anthony. Blowers and Ravon split the races in Iowa, the doubleheader, a few weeks ago. Anthony was 3rd both races, though, consistent at that racetrack, and he is now front of the field here as the lights go out on the pace car. Still looking to break through and find victory lane for the first time this season. Let's see what he can do. It's Anthony McCann, Cook, Ravon, Witzel, Rucker, Blowers, Cressy, all in the lead lap. Roberg and Lynch 1 lap down apiece. As Roberg joins the tail of the field. Front wing reattached and reassembled. Ready to try to defend that top 10 position. Pace car will pull down pit lane here. Green flag flies and away we go. It's Anthony leading the way. McCann in second. Ravon and Cook battling for that third spot. Very close quarters there, but they're not in the front of the field anymore. So now the battle really raging on here. Got to pick your fights. Everyone getting up to temperature and up to speed here. Cook Jr. now flying the outside lane, trying to find clean air. He wants to try to get back to the front of the field. He's got to get around both McCann and Anthony. And as we've seen so far tonight, way easier said than done to pass anybody. But we've seen what it looks like here to be third or fourth car in line, what the dirty air does to you. That's what Rick Ravon's fighting right now. Taking a look here at David Cook Jr. as he tries to battle for that second spot. Whoa, what a dive down into turn number 1. Up to second, but a tag of the fence on the outside of turn 2. Wow. Caught McCann by surprise. It allows Ravon to go through as well. There he is, back there in third. Wow, that was wild. So Cook up to second, one car in the way, and that is Lance Anthony. He came down pit lane on lap 119, now finds himself on the wrong side of a tire deficit. Looking around, Martin Roberg in that 47, who will go 2 laps down. Pretty easily there. Less than 40 to go here in Richmond. Here we go. 3 cars all in a bundle. Less than 5 tenths separating your top 3, your podium holders at the moment. And then it's Scott McCann and Calix Witzel. Whoa, almost contact. I think there was contact between Witzel and McCann. Calix had to really check up there behind the 95. Fortunately, avoided a lot of turmoil, but a huge scare there. Top 3, even spacing. Clean air is king. Everyone's looking for it. Anthony's got the most of it. And here comes Ravon outside. Prevails once again, but not by much. Cook is struggling behind Lance Anthony. And now just trying to keep the 7 at bay. Ravon, way stronger, it looks like in 3 and 4. And it's flustering the 71 just a little bit. Gotta have eyes in the back of your head and in front of you. And the more that the 7 and the 71 battle, whoa, trouble! Save Cook, but he's gonna lose that spot to Ravon. Got loose at a 4, saved it. But Ravon will sweep in and take that spot away. And now Ravon has his eyes set on the race leader, Lance Anthony, with 29 laps to go. That was a heart attack and a half. And the driver that has led the most laps today now sitting in 3rd. Was hoping for a little bit better. but it has fallen apart late. Ravon looking for his 8th race win this season. He has been Terminator in the Crown Athletics IndyCar Series. Looking around, Lily Frazier there, lap car on the bottom of the racetrack. All three do. Ravon now able to use all of the racetrack here, top to bottom, to try to find his way around Lance Anthony. Anthony trying to hold on to grab a rare race win this season. Not many can say they've beat Rick Ravon here. We're looking at an opportunity for just that. Coming to 24 laps to go. These laps are flying by quick. 3 laps a minute is the way things look right now. Further down, the battle still rages on. McCann, Witzel, and Rucker. McCann trying to hang in there, also on older tires compared to Witzel and Rucker. Blowers in 7th, a little bit further down the field with a little bit of damage on that one car. Just trying to hang in there. McCann and Witzel side by side through turns 1 and 2. Side by side again, 3 and 4. And McCann trying to drive out of turn 4 and use the power advantage there. But here we go. Meanwhile, battle at the front of the field, Anthony and Ravon. Battles for first, battle for fourth. Anthony and McCann both holding on at the moment. Coming to 20 laps to go, Ravon has a chance at the race lead. Can he clear on those fresher tires? Yes, he does. Ravon back out in front with 20 to go. Anthony going to give it his all to try to catch up and keep up with the 7th as McCann tries to hold on debut to grab a top 5, a 4th place if he can stay ahead of Calix Witzel. Rucker down pit lane. And he has smacked the wall hard. You see the front suspension completely all torn up. He has smacked the wall hard. And I believe that could be curtains for the 77. We'll find out. He'll at least drop to 10th place, maybe dropping to 11th behind Brandon Statton. Rick Ravon leads a 16 to go here in Richmond. And he has not led a lot of laps in this race. This is his 6th lap lead. He had been second fiddle to David Cook Jr. and had found it late with 15 to go. Fresher tires, David Cook Jr. is in trouble. He's also in the fence. And the driver with the most laps led will be in danger of not finishing in the top 10. And that is devastating. Flowers and Pressey, the defending ABN and kart champions, duking it out now for 5th. McCann and Witzel now battling for a podium. And Rick Ravon clear by a second over Lance Anthony out in front here in Richmond with 12 to go. Chaos late here in Richmond. Tags to the wall there for both Cook and for William Rucker. dropping them down the order out of the top 5 to 9th and 10th. 2 laps down apiece. Witzel trying everything he can to get around McCann. A wild job. The 95, if he can hold on to this podium, coming to 9 laps to go. Flowers trying to hold on to the top 5 further back. But not far from this conversation right now. Doing everything that he needs to try to hold on to this podium on debut is Scott McCann. What a battle it has been so far, coming to 6 laps to go. Witzel giving it another go. This is going to be a good opportunity for Witzel to try to close on and get through. A little bit of understeer, though, for the 2. And he had to give up momentum there out of turns 1 and 2 there. Can he get clear in 3 and 4? If he can, he might be golden. He was clear for a moment. He's got the tire advantage. He just needs to get clear and avoid the over-under. A little bit of contact. And McCann drops to 4th. Calix Witzel is now up into the podium with less than 5 to go. A little bit of contact, and McCann is in trouble. There is damage on that number 95. And now he's trying to hold on to what could be a top 5. He's trying to hang in there the best he can with 3 to go. 2.25 miles in this race. He just got to hang in there ahead of Blowers and Presley to hold on to this top 5. But they are closing, and this battle is fierce. 2 to go. 1.5 miles. Brian Lynch goes a second lap down, but should still finish pretty safely in the top 10 here. But it's been a race of attrition. White flag is out. 1 lap to go for Rick Ravon. By 1.5 seconds over Lance Anthony. He left it late. But an 8th race win will not be denied for Rick Ravon. He wins in Richmond and survives the 3/4 mile bull ring. Calix Witzel will finish 3rd behind Lance Anthony. To finish on the podium, Bobby Blowers held on for 5th ahead of Pressey, who rounded out the lead lap cars tonight. But Rick Ravon victorious here in Richmond. Now park it in traditional fashion at the start-finish line here in Richmond. A little bit of a wobble with the front wheels there. Rick Ravon, your race winner here tonight. A phenomenal job for him in that number 17. And the runaway continues here. 8 wins this season is a wild stat to have in 11 races. Not easy. But greatness is never easy. And that's what we're seeing right now from the number 17. Results, top of your screen. Here we go. Rick Ravon, Lance Anthony, Calix Witzel. Your top 3 here ahead of Scott McCann, Bobby Blowers, Nick Pressey, Brian Lynch, Martin Roberg, David Cook Jr., and William Rucker rounding out your top 10 here in a very attrition-filled race here in Richmond. Brandon Statton, Blue Jade, your top 12. Seeing the finish, as did Lily Frazier, Travis Rucker, Kevin Simpson, Andrew Fay, Billy Smith, and R.C. Grove did not see the checkered flag tonight, rounding out this 18-car field. That was really, really wild, and with St. Petersburg in 7 days' time, the wild games will continue. More than likely here in the Kart Crown Athletics IndyCar Series. That being said, we do have podium interviews to get to here. So let's start with the driver of the 02, Calix Witzel, who did a fantastic job late on using that tire advantage to get to the front of the field. Calix, this is Carmen from the ABN booth. First podium of the season. It was hard fought and hard earned tonight in Richmond. A wild race tonight, attrition filled as we figured it would be. This racetrack is difficult, just like Iowa was a few weeks ago. That being said, very easy for the 02 kart to try to keep cool and keep calm. 4 cautions tonight give ample opportunity for some strategy calls. Fresh tires at the end of the race proved to be important as those on older tires began to cliff. But walk us through. Obviously, you talk about struggling to try to find a way to pass cars. What was that process like trying to find time, knowing that laps go around quickly here? 3 laps a minute is not a lot of time to figure things out.
So not really putting anyone in bad positions, but also trying to make my way through the field. So that definitely played a factor.
Not running full time, not having the ability to run with everyone that has run all season long didn't stop you from being able to evolve and learn as this race progressed. What was sort of the biggest tricks and tips that you learned there? Because passes could be made top side or bottom side. Obviously, everyone preferred the outside lane because of the speed you could carry, but you had to make that pass on the bottom to make it work. What was the experimentation like? What were you working with the most to try to make things happen? Because clean air was key. You just couldn't always find it, so you had to figure out a different way. What was that experimentation like, and what clicked for you at the end there?
Yeah, early on, I seen a lot of people trying to dive bomb into turns 1 and turns 3. So I kind of watched and learned as they did that and failed. And then I kind of took it slow and steady and just rolled the bottom as tight as I could, keeping clean air on the front of the car.
And it worked out here for you. Obviously, not racing full time here. St. Petersburg, expected to be chaos next week. The streets of St. Petersburg, Florida. Not a lot of road courses left, though, on this schedule as we look a little bit further beyond St. Petersburg. Yeah, Motegi, a trip to Japan on July 23rd. Kansas, it should be a pretty fun race. Atlanta, Phoenix, and then Portland and Auto Club to end out the season. Obviously, not racing full time. You're not worried about the championship. You're just worried about having fun here. Which of those races are we going to see the 02 appear at next?
I'm an oval guy, so most likely the ovals. We'll see, though.
Well, that rules out St. Petersburg. Motegi next up on the calendar. The Kart Japan 300 on July 23rd. A chance for Caleb Witzel to go and race for a podium, but essentially a race win once again. Before we let you go, though, and let you enjoy the podium and the rest of your Thursday evening, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. A phenomenal drive to get P3 here in Richmond. Not easy, and not everyone can do it tonight.
Yeah, I just want to shout out Lance for having this league as high quality as it has, and then all the competitors tonight, because it was a couple cautions, but it was pretty clean throughout.
It was a lot of fun to watch up here in the booth. A phenomenal job for the 02 crew. Calix, congratulations on the podium tonight, and hopefully we can see you in a couple weeks' time in Motegi. Enjoy it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
A phenomenal job for the 02 Calix Witzel on the podium tonight. 3rd place for car 02. We move on to a driver who last time we spoke to him, he had swept the podium in Iowa. 3rd place, race 1 and race 2. Short tracks continue to prove to be beneficial to the 52 camp tonight. A little bit of elbows out, a little bit physical, a lot of attrition as we expected it would be here at Richmond. But a 2nd place and a brand new paint scheme. Kind of what the doctor ordered to keep this season on the right track. Walk us through it. That was tough, hard fought, but a step closer to victory lane tonight.
Yeah, for sure. It was an up and down night. First off, before I get into anything, I want to apologize to Bobby. I thought 100% he was going to try to go to the middle lane, and I had already committed to running the bottom. And I just slid up into him. Sorry, Bobby. That's 1,000% on me. I apologize. I can't say sorry enough. I don't like to drive like that. But yeah, a little bit about the night. I finally qualified okay. Still wasn't great, but decent. I felt like I was in the ballpark for once. And then kind of Rick made a mistake, I think, and I got in front of him and David. I was kind of out front, but truthfully, I knew I wasn't as fast as those two. So anytime out front, I just kind of felt kind of thankful. And then as kind of the race played out, I got caught up in some kerfuffle. Oh, I made a mistake on my own. That was really stupid. Just trying to overdrive the car to keep up with them too, and I should have just settled in. And then got caught up in something mid-race, and then the thing with Bobby, and I decided to not take tires at the end. I knew I wasn't going to beat Rick on just pure pace, so wanted to try to do something different. Honestly, I'm shocked that I stayed out as front as long as I did, and was able to keep up with him somewhat at the end. Yeah, that was kind of my strategy.
And it almost, as you mentioned, almost worked out. It left it late with about 16 to go is when the pass for the lead happened there with Rick on those fresher tires, finally making his way through there. That being said, it's been a great turnaround this season to see how the results have materialized. Again, the double podium at Iowa, a podium here at Richmond as well. You look at the races coming up here, a chance to close in a little bit more. The schedule is a gauntlet. It's St. Petersburg next week, Motegi the week after that, Kansas to end out the month of July, and then Atlanta, Phoenix, Portland, and Fontana to end out the season. So 8 races to go in this campaign. You're in third, the defending champion, Bobby Blowers, only 8 points ahead. And now the question is, how high can we get here? Or good recovery from how the season started. What is the objective for you? And obviously St. Petersburg new for everybody. What's the objective going into the streets of St. Petersburg next Thursday?
Hopefully just survive, honestly. Don't make any mistakes. I've had some okay pace on the road courses. I just keep making tiny mistakes and throwing away better finishes than what I should have had. I mean, truthfully, that's kind of been the story of my whole season. I've had great race pace, but either a mistake by somebody else or myself. I probably should have a few better finishes than what I've got. But I mean, realistically, my championship hopes are kind of over. I really needed to win tonight, and Rick have a pretty poor race. But I think the fight for second between me, Bobby, and I forget who is behind us, Nate, and I think somebody else. But I think the fight for second is going to be incredible coming down the stretch. So yeah, we'll see. I enjoy St. Pete. I ran in another league there a couple weeks ago and finished second behind Kiffin. So I have some confidence. Motegi is going to be hit or miss. I'm either real good there or real bad. So let's hope for the real good.
It'll be a lot of fun to see how this plays out. Third place in points after tonight's event. Lily Frazier in fourth. Nate Fields, you mentioned, in fifth. And then obviously Nick Pressey having a good race tonight, trying to climb up the running order as well in that points order. Lance, before we let you go and let you obviously celebrate the podium and get ready for next week in Florida, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congratulations on a third podium this season.
Thank you. Well, first off, thanks to ABN. Cannot wait to watch the broadcast tonight or tomorrow. Shout out Crown Golf, new livery this week. Check them out at takethecrown.co. There's also a link on my Twitter page for that. Pulse Productions, Magnolia Laser, B Smith Maintenance, LA Designs, all those guys. And shout out to everyone in the league. Tonight was really, really fun. It went a lot better than I thought. And thanks to everybody for showing up every week and allowing me and Willie to do our thing.
A phenomenal drive and a third podium. Short ovals have been kind to the 52 car. Lance Anthony finishing second tonight here in Richmond. He'll try to do the same or one spot better in St. Petersburg next Thursday. Lance, congratulations, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Thank you.
A phenomenal drive for Lance Anthony. Even better, though, for the number 7, Rick Ravon, his 8th win of the season. Absolutely wild stuff. 10 starts, didn't start the Grand Prix, the Bricker Grand Prix to open up the season. Didn't matter. 8 wins and 10 starts, 8 top 5s, 8 top 10s, 3 pole positions. The stat line continues to be impressive. Not the fastest car to start this race, but the fastest car, the most consistent car at the finish when it matters most, where the points are scored. Rick, walk us through that. That was probably the most challenging race we've seen the number 7 car have to go through. Dirty air, traffic, the likes that we see oftentimes at the short ovals. Having to overcome that, but also continuing to hit your marks. Not many can match what the 7 car has done so far this season, and this was a good example of that. Walk us through that race. That was fun to watch as it unfolded.
Well, thanks, Carmen. Well, first of all, on my hot lap, my second lap of qualifying, I was up by about a tenth and a half, almost a tenth and a half, and I just barely tapped the wall coming off 4, so we would have had pole, but that was my mistake. So we just had the pace. But when you have cars out there that are, almost as quick, and they've got the lead at a track like this here at Richmond, that dirty air, it really kills you. Clean air is king here. So it was difficult. I mean, all I could do was kind of stay with Cook. He was on rails, and just hope for the best. And it came down to that last restart, and I just I needed for him to make a mistake. I was all over him, but I don't know. Who knows? I may have been able to get him, maybe not. But he made a mistake, and up to second we went. That was a gift, and I knew that we had fresher tires than Lance. So it's just a matter of finding a spot. Should we go high? Should we go low? And just kind of feeling things out. Where is he going? Is he going high, low? He's not the kind of block or something like that. So nice clean race for the lead, and. And then I was hoping that there wouldn't be a yellow, of course, and there wasn't. So a little stroke of luck there, but we really had to wrestle the car. This is a tough track. It eats up the front tires, so it's not easy to be quick and save tires. It was just a real challenge tonight.
And the challenge is going to continue here. St. Petersburg, new for just about everybody here, coming up next week, and then the gauntlet really gets thrown down here. Motegi coming up after that, and then Kansas to end out the month. Obviously, those are the next 3 races. We know how good those races can be. Atlanta, Phoenix, Portland, Fontana end out the season. It has been a wild, wonderful run to see the number 7 crew this season. Again, 8 wins across 10 races so far this season is impressive. St. Petersburg is the next objective. We saw how good you were at Willow Springs. St. Petersburg's a different beast, not quite as forgiving as the wide open desert there in California. What is sort of the vibe going into Florida next Friday or next Thursday?
A race for second. Cook is going to be long gone. He should be at St. Petersburg. I would be surprised if anybody could stay with him. It's that kind of a track, and he's an ace. It is a street course, so he should be gone. So it'll be a race for second, but. Hey, it is what it is. Just hoping to keep the momentum going. We've got a good lead in the points, and consistent finish there at St. Pete. And I don't know, just keep doing what we're doing, and hope for the best.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That is the name of the game here for Rick Ravon's IndyCar campaign. 8 wins is hard to top. Most wins. I'm going to go ahead and touch on this stat real quick because I was hoping I get to mention it over the next 3 weeks. We've been broadcasting now since 2021. We have never had a driver win more than 7 races in a season. And we've done 36 race campaigns, full NASCAR seasons. No one's won more than 7. You are the first driver on ABN to score 8 wins in a single season. Historic for us, at least on ABN. Does it yet describe it? Before we let you go and let you enjoy, obviously, the night, the wonderful weekend, hopefully with the cooler weather coming in, and everything that comes with the next week ahead. If there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Again, we say historic, and we mean it. There's metrics behind that, and it's so much fun watching it unfold every week.
Well, it's great. I had no idea. It's nice to have that record. Wow, thanks for pointing that out. That made my night. A win, and now that statistic. That's great. FMW first and foremost. And I want to thank you, ABN Studios, Carmen, God bless you, man. In my prayers. Thanks to Lance Anthony, for putting on the league. I want to congratulate Calix Wetzel on his podium tonight. That was a great job. It's good to see him up there. My wife, of course, I love you, sweetheart. My kids, Zoe, Mila, I love you guys with all my heart. And the Lord Jesus for dying on the cross for me, dying for my sins. I love you so much, my Lord, my Savior. I love you, Yeshua, and I love you, Yahweh. I can't wait to be with you. I can't wait to be with you forever and ever. Woohoo! Anyway, I guess that's about it. Thanks very much. God bless you.
A phenomenal job for Rick Ravon tonight. Race win number 8 on the season here in Richmond. Had to earn it. Had to go out and take it by force here. And he does so in the last 16 laps here in Richmond. Race win number 8. We'll see him again in St. Petersburg next Thursday. Rick, enjoy the race win. I'm sure we'll talk to you again in St. Petersburg on Thursday. Enjoy it.
Thank you, Carmen. See you next week, buddy.
A phenomenal job for Rick Ravon tonight. An outstanding drive for the number 7 camp here in Richmond. Does not get much better than that. That being said, that concludes our coverage here tonight of the Crown Athletics IndyCar Series. We're glad you joined us for what was a fun race here in Richmond. Excuse me, had to take a drink because it's a little bit warm in the studio still. It's still a little bit muggy. No racing this weekend. We'll be back again on Monday for the HTL Cup Series from Talladega. On Tuesday, the HTL Challenger Series, it heads over to the track too tough to tame, the Lady in Black, Darlington Raceway, on Tuesday. Those races coming up here. Enjoy your weekend out ahead. If you haven't, join us on Patreon. If you're watching on YouTube, it's in the description down below. We also had the QR code earlier in the broadcast. Join us. Have some fun this weekend. Beyond that, stay safe and stay healthy. On behalf of CART and ABN, I'm Carmen Sienna. We'll see you next time in Talladega. Until then, so long, everybody.